Okie dokie. Hello, hello. All right, let's see. Okay. It's kind of hard to see both of those things. What's going on, everybody? It's Eli here from TreeFall Studios. I don't know how long this has been live, maybe 5 minutes. Oh man, hold on one second. I've got to mute this. And I've got Discord going live, and I can hear it coming through the mic. 1 second. Let me pull up my volume mixer and blank out Firefox. Alright, okay, so I got that muted. So anyways, I haven't live streamed or made a video in ages. Been super busy, so today I thought, hey, you know what, maybe I will put together a test stream and just start to show off a few of these projects that we have not announced and that I will be talking about soon. Whoever pops in, if anyone wants to hang out, I'm going to be doing stuff live and behind the scenes so you can ask questions. I think I'll just go ahead and talk and show a few of the projects that we've got started and working on. I don't have any huge progress in any of these projects, but there is one that I teased, which you're looking at now, which is the remake of Night Detective. Maybe I need to. Yeah, this would be all right. This is the remake of Night Detective for the PlayStation. This is our first game ever. Let me see if I can pull this up. I'm getting live questions from the Discord group about the stream. So today we're going to be talking about, I'm going to be showing Night Detective, showing some progress on Tilting Tiles 2, which is not officially announced, but it's definitely in the works. Some Pitterpot 3D models, some other 3D models for a small little experimental 3D platform game we're going to be doing. Some of the old TreeFall team members are going to be returning to do a project together. And yeah, so that's some of the stuff that we've got going on. I'm clicking through all these different windows here. I really need a another computer monitor to effectively manage the stream, because it's kind of difficult the way it is. My game development setup, I basically need both monitors in order to be switching between these programs, and I kind of work with a 2 monitor flow in order just to do this stuff. Unity on one, Blender code, and or Visual Studio up on the other one, and stuff like that. And now that the stream and all those settings and stuff is on taking up 1 monitor, flipping between the windows over here with multiple things on this window is kind of like I could use a third one. I think it would make this a whole lot easier. It looks like the audio is coming in not too much, so that looks fine. But yeah, I think I'm going to start doing some more live streams. I kind of been wanting to do a new game from scratch on a live stream, but I haven't decided what game I'm going to do. I was kind of going to use this test stream as a setup for this. I was going to kind of test it out, and I was going to see what everyone was most interested in, and then I was going to see where to go from there. I have a couple options I was going to show. So Night Detective is basically done. This game, let me try to find it. I got distracted again. Pull up the webpage. Kickstarter Night Detective, just to show you guys. This is just crazy. This blows my mind. Yeah, okay. So let me pull this over here. Yeah, Night Detective was funded. The last update was June 12th, 2014. So this was I guess we did an update. That had to have been close to right before the letter came out. That was the last update. This project had to have been, estimated delivery 2013. This is so old, it is unreal. I got rid of that video. I mean, just look at this. It's just crazy to see where we came from to where we are now. So this is kind of like a fan service type of deal. PC, Xbox 360, Wii U, and 3DS. What a dream! What a dream that was. This game actually, so there's a couple reasons. I haven't been in full-time dev in a little bit. I worked a part-time job for a little bit. Now I'm back in it. I've got a lot of things going on. Finishing up that job. I'm getting ready to get married, and just have a lot going on. So we needed to release a small project in order to go ahead and get some extra revenue coming in. So I thought, hey, what can we do? Get the team a little bit more revenue so we can work on something bigger. This is kind of like the start of TreeFall Studios. I had thought about it. I had started it a few years ago. I had said that I'm going to come out and re-release this game, our very first game, fan service project, to Wii U. I started rebuilding it, and I only worked on it for a day or two, and then realized at that point it was not going to work on Wii U for a few different reasons, and then kind of just let it go. But then we almost lost all the files for this old game. I'm gonna have to mute this audio when I show it to you. But I found one repository where they were all just sitting there in some file folder, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know what? I think I'm going to rebuild it. And this is really, it's a fan service project for me, but also, it's for our original fans. We did have some backers for this game. There were some very cool puzzles in this. This game is so short. That is the biggest problem with it. The big problem with this game was we only got $800 to make it. We were young, we didn't have a whole lot of experience, and we kind of like just like had this long game planned out that was not going to be able to be made, and we basically released what or finished back in the day what was like the first chapter and of the game, and then kind of just crapped an ending together and then sent it out to the backers because my partner in this no longer could work at TreeFall Studios. He had to leave. He was the guy who originally programmed it and did the art. I was making up the levels, the story, and doing the music and all the marketing and all that kind of stuff. And so he could no longer work on the project. He was leaving town, switching schools, doing the whole deal. He went to go work for someone else. So we never really got to finish this. So I thought to myself, hey, this was really the game was only chapter 1. So we're going to be marketing it and showing it off as a prologue because you know what, point and click games are still pretty cool, and there's some cool puzzles and cool ideas and cool story to be had for the future of this game or series. So I'm like, why don't we just cut it off, like remove that old trashy ending of the game that we gave for the original game, leave it at the end of chapter 1, and brand it as a prologue to a future Night Detective game, so people understand, hey, it's not a full game. It's really small. We're only going to charge like 99 cents for it. So price will be in line, the branding will be in line, and people will get to play and experience a couple of the cool puzzles that we developed many years ago, and the cool music and cool art, this retro art. The craziest thing is like this art is so detailed to me, like it's really, really good. And it was all drawn in Microsoft Paint. Like everything that fits this aesthetic style was done in Microsoft Paint. So pretty impressive what the artist did for this game. He is incredibly talented, and to do this where everything is very interactive is pretty unreal. I can show you a little bit of the level. I wonder if I can pull up my volume mixer because I don't want this to. It's really loud, and it will blast out super loud the music for this, and the clicks are so loud in this game. Where are you, volume mixer? There we go. Stick this off the other screen. And where are you, Unity? This is going to be like frying my computer as well. Yeah, dude, it's having some serious trouble. Let's turn this down. Oh, I have to mute. And of course, all right. I don't have my headphones set up right to do this, so I'm just going to mute the audio. Let's make sure you can still hear me and stuff. Okay. Elon, I can't hear the stream right now, but if you can see this, please dab. Thank you. Here you go. You can check that later. Thanks, PLP. All right, so I'm going to just talk about this level real briefly, and then this is the last thing I'll do on Night Detective, and then move on to the next couple of projects we've started. So the craziest thing about this game is like, actually I'm gonna erase the data real quick. This is kind of cool because you get to see all these objects behind. I don't have the title set up where you can start and erase data and do new games and stuff. So I just have this debugger code in here which deletes all the data, and then I just turn it on from the first level and then start the game over to test it. But the cool thing about this is like, all right, so you can see This is, I mean, I'm already basically done with this game. Basically, I have a few more things. I was just putting the final touches on, um, and I guess I will talk about like the cool coding trick that I got to make this fog work. I just finished that this morning. But the craziest thing is like, Tyler, the artist from this game, he made all of these images like hand drawing in Microsoft Paint with like no tools. And when we originally made this game, there was moving rain like this. There was this moving fog that subtly went across the level. And like when you would do things like, you click on the light to turn it on, you can see it like lights up the back of that window. You can see it when you turn this one on, it changes the actual light outside if you can click on the moon or whatever. All of this stuff was originally programmed in Microsoft's XNA framework back in like 2012, and at that point there was no UI for that. Like everything was done basically in like it was done in code. Like you typed out everything. Like you would type out, new rectangle, blah blah blah, display here, 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 and here to get all these things to overlay, and you would choose. You would have to code by hand like every render layer. Overlay this image on top of this image, overlay this fog on top of this image or whatever. Ooh, look at that. There's a right there after I talked about the fog, there's one glitch right there where it stopped looping correctly. I have to change that. I totally checked this earlier and had it working. But it's crazy that like that we did that all the way back then, when now, you have all these objects that are your background or whatever, and you just click on a button and you can choose the sorting layers. You can choose where you want them to go. You don't have to code it. Being in Unity, you drag and drop, and you can just lay the images on top of each other, which is kind of crazy. PLP says, where is this going to release on? So the Night Detective release is actually just for PlayStation. I'm not going to take the money and spend to release this on Steam, because this is such a small project. 99 cents. We're not really expecting a lot of money to come out of that. It's more of a fan service project to, reacclimate me to game development. It's been a little while. I've had a little bit of a break. I've been getting my coding practice going on, because I rebuilt this game from scratch. Basically looking at the old game, none of that code, we didn't use any of that. I basically played the one file that we had, remembering how the game worked, and just created it from scratch over the last couple of weeks. So this game is basically kind of practice, so that I could, get back into game development and, release our original puzzle experience for other people to check out. Also, real quick, while we're on the first level, a cool thing here, you pop the tree, the crazy squirrel comes out. So it's all coded correctly. You can see in the right corner, you got your mistakes. If you click on something that's incorrect, you get a mistake. If you get 3 mistakes, you go to game over. You have to find all the hidden objects in every level, basically, in order to open the door to go to the next level. But it's more complicated than that, more than just find and seek. Each level has a different theme, so you have to try to figure out what it is. There's hints that are going to be programmed in. Like the old hints were just a button that you clicked, and like it would tell you the theme of the level, and then you would try to guess what you needed, and then try to find all the objects that fit that theme. But now I'm going to basically be giving you dialogue to get you through, to figure out what the themes are, like more subtle than kind of telling you what the theme is. So that's going to be kind of cool. And then you start unlocking more items. As you can see down here on the screen, there's a bunch of different squares. The magnifying glass is what you use to analyze things, turn objects on and off, to examine it, to examine doors to enter doors and switch and go back and forth between rooms, but you unlock a bunch of different items. I know other people have seen this before, but we have like a crowbar, a revolver, a shovel, different things like that, to where like as you discover things in rooms, you open up chests that you have to try to figure out what to do with those items. So I'm gonna pause that. See, like, I'm not sure how this gets off track. Let's see which one that is. Just do some debugging right here live. So that's fog 1, fog 2. Oh, is because it's supposed to go after fog 1 is supposed to move behind fog 2. Yeah, I did that prefab wrong, so my code still works. Fog 1 is supposed to go after fog 2. There we go. Yeah, I got this fog moving. You can see there's these different pieces of fog that are like tiling, and that's like the coolest thing. I'll show you in the engine actually. So it's pretty cool. You can see here's the rain. This is the rain is just a particle effect. But as the fog moves across, once it reaches a certain threshold, it reappears behind the other images and just continues in a loop, and that way it just never runs out. The reason like that fog exists is because there's a porch level, and like this one like was pretty challenging to code in the original game, but you know, there's like a few back layers, and then like the porch you can like see outside, and like that this is the door that you go to the next room, but the fog is in between this porch with the screened in porch and then the outside, so you can see the fog will move like through the grates, so everything looks a little interactive and all of that. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. So then it's basically, I think there's like what, 10 levels, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 levels. Yeah, I guess 10 scenes including title and game over. So it's, like I said, it's not a huge game, but we're not charging a whole lot for it, and I think for, you know, what it is, people are gonna find it pretty interesting. So pretty excited about that. Should be finishing that up in a couple of weeks. It's gonna be pretty cool. I mean, I've changed a whole lot of stuff on it. I wish that I didn't delete. Yeah, I would kind of ruin it if I showed how to do the puzzles to get the items. But I redid like how the items were acquired. I did new animations, new sound code. I'm like tweaking things up. Like I had to rebuild it from scratch, and you know, this art is all old, and we don't have any new art to fit this style. So like we're not really. I've changed a couple things, but we're not really like editing and changing the art anymore. So it's like the game is what it is. I redrew a couple of the icons, like I redid the shovel and stuff like that. But like I'm fixing up some things along the way to make it a little bit more smooth. And also like one of the cool effects from the bedroom scene is like there's a mirror, and like you can hover over it and you can see your reflection in the mirror. Like I'm pretty sure that the old game was glitched where it only did that like if you went over the mirror with the magnifying glass, and if you went over the mirror with like the gun or the crowbar or something like that, it would just show the magnifying glass reflection. I can't remember. I need to go back and play it. But you know, I fixed that in this version, and now you can like change your items in real time and it will show your reflection in the mirror. That kind of stuff, you know, little details. This game has a lot of little details for being such a small little game. So pretty excited about that. So that's just something to show. I am going to do a devlog fully talking about some of the code, like the fog code, some of the puzzles in the bedroom with the how to do the reflection in the mirror, and some of the stuff that we did with the thunder. There's some really cool stuff that has some effects on these pixel images. So that's pretty cool. Another thing that I've been working on is the start of Tilting Tiles 2. So this is pretty sweet. It's definitely in the very beginning. I was thinking about like going ahead and like making this one of the ones that I like show step by step. Kind of show how difficult it is and how long it takes to do something like this. But you know, Tilting Tiles was very simple aesthetically. It was supposed to be, but it was like really beautiful. And this is kind of my example over here. This is kind of like what the game looked like beforehand. You were basically, you had these, you know, square towers, and you know, they would have a texture on them, and then you had your tile and you would just move from square to square, and there wasn't anything besides the towers and the square and the items that spun around. And that's like all that was in the levels. I mean, and they were visually pleasing because like I had fog in all the levels, and I would have like moving particles that blew in the wind, or you know, glowing things to go with, you know, everything that's going on in those levels, which was pretty cool. But now I'm working on super, like, still simple, like still going for the minimalist vibe. You know, Tilting Tiles is still going to be the minimalist puzzler, but now I'm going to be testing out some new type of stuff. So like here is my example. Like I was kind of brainstorming. I built these new towers. These, we're going to call them just Arabian towers, Middle Eastern type of architecture. Kind of I was looking at some reference images from Captain Toad. They had some really good art taken from this art style direction, and you can see I've got these broken up here into different pieces, and this is what the completed tower would look like. And then here's like basically an example of, you know, what I was trying to structure out. Like, all right, so what would the level look like, you know, if I put them all in a row like this? For the second game, I realized like if I wanted to do stuff like this, have like, you know, going down corridors, hallways, inside building type of things, I would have to shrink what the tile size was. And if you see, like I was testing over here, here's what the old game looked like, you know, just towers, and then this guy, your tile would have filled it up completely. I was trying to decide, hey, you know, if you moved them across these towers again, and you had simple towers and complex towers in a single level, would the game look all right if you were smaller than the size of the actual tower? And would you know, like, basically where the landing zones are for the tower? Is it going to be clear if they all look like the texture stretches right across them and you can't tell where the tile is? I think that is something that I'm going to have to play with and play test and get people's opinions on. But being able to do something like this, where you've got, hey, look, you know, this is much more complex models. You know, you've got arches here, concave sections, and then on the sides, not only will this look really awesome when it's textured, but I actually built 3D bricks that are all individual, that are moved up and down. If you can see this, they are not all the same height, and they are also beveled, so you can see that they're not just blocks dropped on there. They actually kind of look like bricks. And then I think when you zoom out and you look at them from over here, you know, this, you know, with these bricks on each tower in a row, with the texture and the way this is going to look, and this will have like a metal reflective texture up here, this is going to look incredibly awesome. And as you can see, I started doing right here, I built a smaller version, and then these will be modular to put the roofs on, so where you can jump from smaller ones, ride whirlwinds up, land on top. You know, this would be like basically, you know, like let's say level design here or whatever. It's not actually, this isn't on the grid correctly, but yeah. And then, you know, you could go across the tops here. Not every one of them would have like this tower top. You know, you could do it like these. Oh yeah, these are the incorrect size. I had to resize these. That's why. These are the old size. You can see it's a little bit taller. But yeah, so there's just a lot of stuff here. But even just to do something like this, it's going to be a whole lot more visually complex, and it's going to look a whole lot better than the last game. But it also automatically, just looking at this, you might not realize, but it will automatically create new challenges to program around. Basically, like, let's say you're here and you want to get here and you have a diagonal move. Well, it's not going to look right if your character warps through this wall. There's going to have to be new code in here. Basically, the way the old game was coded, there was program blocks on every single section to tell you where you could and couldn't go. But it would look like this. Like if there was a wall here, and then there was a space to go on this side. Like let's say you had this here and then that was there and you wanted the diagonal to it, the game would register that there was a wall in between it and you could no longer go diagonal. So that would stop you. But let's say it looks like this now. This is not a wall anymore. It would register that there's a space available to the right of you if your character was right here, that there was an open space to the right of you, but technically there's a wall in between these right here, and I'm going to have to reprogram the game's player code to work around that. Also, this is just like kind of playing in Blender. This is not where I would actually build the level. I would build just one object and the whole level would be built in Unity. But we're really talking the theoretical game design stages of this game at this point. And also, if you have all these intricate walls here, another big problem that came up when I was kind of playtesting around with some of these ideas is, like, let's say the camera is positioned about right here, like it used to be. And, I'll go ahead and show you. These are not in the right spots, but let's just go ahead and put these here like there's a roof here. All of a sudden you got a problem when your character starts going here, and this is where the camera angle is. You can no longer see your character. So this has got some problems that have to be solved if I'm going to do something like this, which is completely fine. It creates a little bit more work, because one of the main features from Tilting Tiles 2 that I wanted to separate the sequel with is having a movable camera system. So basically, I wanted you to be able to have levels that were so big, like let's zoom out and let's say there's a bunch of stuff in all of these areas, and like your camera's zoomed in like right here. You could use the right stick to look ahead and look left and look all around and kind of move it all around, and then try to calculate how many moves it would take to go wherever you need, and then you can press a button and then recenter the camera. So I was already planning on doing that, but now if I do something like this, the two ways to solve stuff around this is to have camera code that shoots out checkers, rays, that hits all these objects and says, hey, is this in the way of the player? Is this in between the player and the camera? And if so, we can make it transparent or dissolve it or not render it for a second, which is one way to do it. But I would be afraid that there would be a little bit too much of that going on in complicated levels like this, and you would basically just be not rendering all the art all the time. So the other thing, if I'm already going to be programming a new camera that moves with the player and can be controlled by the player, having a camera zoom function to where okay, let's say that you could zoom in all this close if you wanted to, and it would just pop down, and it's like you would be moving you could see where the tile was going. You could zoom in like right here and go, all right, 1, 2, 3, and then zoom out. And then when you zoom out, then these disappear, and then you can see 1, 2, 3. But you could also have it to where you could zoom in and actually see the art. Like if I'm going to sit here and like model and texture stuff more intricately, and put stuff in these areas, and like have a really detailed, beautiful puzzle game, you don't want to just like not render it all the time because it's in the way. So you kind of have to design the game with like function in mind and not just art, because like I could go crazy with the art and do a whole lot more than we've done in other games, but then it not be the best functionally. So there's a problem with that. So that's a quick look at some of the ideas and some of the models that I started for a new Tilting Tiles project. The first game kind of killed it. It did pretty well. It got approved for Xbox. The game is releasing with DLC pretty soon on the Xbox. It did all right on Steam, for basically as well as our Steam releases do. They all do pretty bad on Steam, so it was fine on Steam, and it sold pretty well on PlayStation. So I think if I do a new game with way better graphics, new puzzle features like new abilities, new movement options, and new controls, like a controllable camera and a little bit more interactive levels and such, more things going on in the levels visually, but still hitting that minimalist aesthetic, I think that this could be huge, just way bigger than the first game, and send us to whole new levels as a game development team. But it's gonna take a little while. I was able to do the first game pretty quickly, but this game would take a little bit longer. Like already trying to do this art is way more complicated than these squares, where I basically had just to tile certain textures, and I could get it to where like I would do a texture on the top part and a texture on all the sides. Already here we're talking about texturing a bunch of bricks, texturing this part, texturing the arches separately, these sides separately, texturing this separately, this. If I want to do some flags and some tapestries and stuff, you're talking about animating cloth, texturing things like that. Way more work just to get one piece of a level working, which is not the longest part of this design. The Tilting Tiles gameplay loop, the thing that took the longest would be sitting there and flowing out the levels, testing them, seeing all the different paths, seeing how I could change the level in order to make it more complicated and whatnot. So yeah, with that being said, it's like this game would take a little bit longer to develop than the first game, even with the fact that I have a code base now. Like I wrote all of Tilting Tiles from scratch, and I could build upon that code to add all the new mechanics and new stuff, but keep some of the foundation. Obviously have to redo a good bit of it in order to do a sequel, but it would still take a little bit of time. So AA Football Trekkers says, yeah, you're streaming again, been waiting for this. Yeah, it's been a while, and I am planning on really changing it up and doing some more streaming soon. I am getting married really soon, next month actually, and I'm going to be moving, so I'm going to be building an entire new TreeFall Studios home office, and I'm going to be building a whole new streaming setup. So I'm going to be doing it a whole lot more. I don't know if I get to the point where I'll do it every day, because I'm like so mixed on it. Like I like to show it off, and I like to talk with everybody and like let everyone see what's going on behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. But I also realize, like, if you do that all the time and everyone's watching every step of your game, there's nothing to surprise the audience with when you drop a trailer, because everyone's kind of been watching along the entire time. So I think there's it's like really beneficial because you get to see every step of the way and you get to learn together and do things. But then at the same time, at some point you want to be surprised if you're a fan. So I think like I might try to start one game where I stream like the entire process, but then also have another project where I work on the other half of the day that, basically would be surprised for everybody. That when you drop the trailer, everyone's like, oh my gosh, here's the letter in HD. I've been working on it secretly for a year and no one knew, and it looks just unbelievable type of thing. Because like if I was really showing that project like every day, then there's no mystery, there's no hype, that kind of thing. So I think for some projects, streaming is definitely a cool way to go. And I think for some, maybe it's not the best approach. But thanks, I appreciate it. I'm pretty excited. And so it's big new stage, a new chapter of my life. So we will be moving locations, and hopefully I will be able to set up a cool new office. I got some new ideas. I'm going to be getting a new desk. I got to get these monitors up on a different stand. I have to hunch over to look at them. The stands are too short where my desk is here now. But then I'm thinking about trying to get some new lights and some new stuff to where I can fully do the YouTube thing, where I put a little bit more effort in. This is just kind of a test stream here, just to get all this working, get back into the programs. I need to start doing streams where I've got, how everybody else does it with intros and stuff going on in the background and flashing little messages across the bottom of the screen, all that stuff. I'm just like I barely touch it. I barely touch my YouTube and stuff, so it's kind of like I'm really bad at it, and I know it, but I'm like, I need to practice a little bit and do a little bit higher production quality and get some new lights and stuff like that, so these are a little bit more entertaining. So that's the look at Tilting Tiles 2. I'm thinking maybe this might be one I stream. And then another look. This is so small. This is a single model right here. But I want to show you what this is going to look like. Let me open up this and I'm going to see if I can, all right. So this program is called PureRef. It is like a modeler's dream. But it has like the worst UI, but it's like for this minimalist aesthetic. Like there's just nothing in here. And you have to right click to pull up the menu. So we just go load recent Greek Gardens. Yeah, here we go. But you can basically save these mood boards type of deal. And you can see like these are my reference images, and this is gonna stuff I'm gonna be modeling. So if you can see right here, this garden, this specifically, with these arches, these squares, this metal steel bar set in between. This is what this is. If you can see, I've already done that. I've made it into a steel bar. I've set it inside of I've cut out these models so I can set it in there. I've got the arches here, and this looks really kind of silly wrapped around like this, but when this is textured and these are like just like leaves, this is gonna look super awesome. And this is actually for Pitterpot. I'm gonna be working on a new Pitterpot project because it's been way too long since we've done something. And if you can see, I've got all these Greek gardens here as my reference images. Stuff like this, looking at these columns, looking at all this kind of architecture, these bushes, stuff like this, total plants hanging down, growing on all this stuff. I've got this all these references here, and this is the first model I've built because I decided I think I'm going to be doing a remake. How I'm going to rebrand Pitterpot is I think I'm going to do a remaster of the first game this year, because that won't be that hard, and it'll get everybody reacclimated, because it's pretty crazy. I'm going to do another video on my game sales. Like, literally, it's unreal, because to me, like, Pitterpot could be like one of the best games I've made. Like, I feel like it's old now, but it still is like towards the top of my design because I worked on it longest. Like, if I would have to say my 3 best games are Tilting Tiles, Perplexing Orb 2, and Pitterpot, probably. And there's like a bunch of little things in Pitterpot that are just like little details that make the game worse, that are super easy fixes, that I was just less experienced at, and we were just trying to finish up the game back in the day. So, like, doing a quick remaster, changing a bunch of things, changing a bunch of flows, redoing menus, redoing some of the UI, redoing the character controller, making him jump better, making the camera better, and then just giving a quick buff to the graphics, mostly keeping the stuff in line, but, doing better lighting, edit the textures a little bit. Boom, you're talking about a way better experience. I'm thinking about dropping that this year because that game sold worse. I think if you look at the lifetime sales of all of my games on PlayStation, I'm pretty sure Pitterpot is in like last place. Like, every single game, doesn't matter how small of a release or whatever, they all sold better than Pitterpot for some reason. And I guess that was our very first game. And so I kind of want to get people reacclimated to the brand. I want Pitterpot to continue to be our mascot type of like our Mario, because I have a bunch of spin-off games for Pitterpot. I want to do a Pitterpot Tower Defense. I want to do a 2D platformer, which is what I think this is going to be for, actually, because I have a bunch of different like character abilities that I want to give him in the 2D space, like shooting out vines and doing different things like that. And I want to do that in 2D, but I also want him to have 3D platformers. I want to do the kart racer too, so all sorts of stuff. So I'm thinking about remastering that, and then going for a really high definition 2D platformer, like cartoony but also realistic, kind of like towards the Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze type of aesthetic type of deal. But that's what I think I'm going to go into next. I see some comments here. What genre are you looking to go into next for your game? Try beveling the legs. It might look cool for the arch. How much have you made from the PS Store? Yeah, actually, so like I'm mixed between. So these ones, I think this one won't have a bevel, because like if you look, right here, I might do a slight one, really slight. But if you can see, like, I was going to go for this exact look where there's just like kind of, just 2 major bricks on each piece, and it's kind of square. But if you can see, here is another one where there's like actually round arches holding this up, and I think I'm going to do a couple different versions of it, and have different ones, like where you start off like here's the left, Pitterpot drops down into the garden, and like you would run like in between this, and here would be all your 2D platforms and all of that kind of stuff. So I will play with the bevels here. This model is by far not done, but whenever I go to texture it, I'm going to play around with it and kind of decide, hey, does this need some more work, or how does this look? Because a lot of the times it really depends. I might be able to do more with it in a 2D platformer because there's going to be less rendering on the screen at once, but you kind of have to, well, not if I'm on the PS5, I'm not going to have to worry about it as much, but still targeting older hardware. Like if I can get this on Switch, I want to, and PlayStation 4 and stuff. You kind of got to balance your bevels and extra geometry where it's just most needed, because that does, it will look better, but it causes a performance hit. And if you can see, like when I'm talking about my Tilting Tiles 2 stuff, like I beveled every one of these, and I'm like well aware that this is going to be a huge performance hit. This is a lot of polygons to achieve this look, and I'm basically going to be using like occlusion culling to like hide the bricks like as you move the camera in this new game to like unrender stuff. So it's something I got to think about while we're working on it. And then you said, how much have you made from the PS Store? I'm not allowed to say that. I don't think you're allowed to unless you get specific permission for like a specific game from Sony and like it sells past a certain threshold or whatever. But yeah, it's pretty good. I would say it's not the best. It's not like the craziest sales in the world. But I will say, like, I sold a lot of games on Nintendo's Wii U. I made good money on Wii U. Actually, you know, my biggest year on Wii U is basically no, I'd have to go back and look at the numbers. I want to say that like my biggest year on Wii U ever was about the same as last year on PlayStation, or I think PlayStation might have been like a little bit more than that. So like we're at the point where like the PlayStation sales are like the best that I have done, and you know I still continue to sell games on there. Even like when, you know, it's been a little while, so like I guess I published Meme Run 2 in January of this year. That's the last thing that I've released. So you're talking, you know, 5 months ago, I guess. And that one doesn't really count to me because, you know, I published it, so I'm only getting a small fraction of the sales. Most of it is going to the developer still. We have a special deal for that because, you know, he's a friend of mine. But so the last game I released was Tilting Tiles 2, which was November of last year. So it's not like I sell a ton of copies of Tilting Tiles right now, but it's like, you know, I sell, you know, we're talking 6 months out or so. 7 months ago is the last time I released a game, and I still sell some copies here or there every month. Stuff like that. I mean, I think it's better than. I know some people that have had really bad experience with the PlayStation Store, and I think that they maybe have had trouble marketing to PlayStation users and some of the things like that. I think that there is a lot of value to be found in working with PlayStation, even though a lot of people really complain about it. I'm not sure if you've seen, like, there was some drama like a month, or it's probably more than a few months ago now, about some developers like kind of breaking NDA and trashing all over PlayStation and stuff like that. And you know, I don't have those feelings whatsoever towards PlayStation. I'm really thankful for PlayStation and grateful to them, because I think that they have a good platform. I think, you know, personally, a lot of people really complain about how they do sales and stuff. And like, I can see it both ways. Like, that stuff is all over Twitter, you know, like those developers roasting them for, you know, not being invited to special promotions and stuff. And when you're not on the receiving side of that and you're being excluded, it's really painful and it can hurt your bottom line. But on the other side of things, like if you look at how Nintendo is doing their shop, where like every developer has their game on sale for like $1, you know, every 2 weeks, and it's like a race to the bottom because it's the only way to get seen on the Nintendo eShop. Like, I'm not really sure that's the best way to go about it either. I'm not sure if Sony's way is the best, but I think Sony's way is probably better than that. Because that's the same way that Steam works. You know, like, I'm constantly trying to put my games on sale because there's no visibility on Steam now. You know, like, they're all hidden. I got no promotion on Steam, so like, I'm having to put my games on sale, and like, having to always race to the bottom doesn't actually get you any money. So, you know, that's just kind of some personal thoughts on that. I'm pretty thankful for Sony. I think that they've got a pretty good platform going on, and they've got some good systems that people are enjoying. He said, I've got a cool idea for a game. It's an idea I've had for a game and I want your opinion. It's a third-person game where you play as a father trying to rescue his son from aliens. The aliens hunt for 24 hours every month and are led by a cruel emperor. What do you think? I want to make this game, but I thought you could use it. Marketing possibilities could be endless. Yeah, that's a good idea. That makes me think of, like, it reminds me of I had a project in my head thinking about it. It reminds me of, like, almost like, I don't know, what was the original Fortnite. This almost, like, I thought you had to do something before they made Fortnite into a battle royale. It was like, you had on the Fortnite something, you would build your base, and then after 14 days, you would be attacked or something like that. It also kind of reminds me of XCOM. Like, you work within the months and you only have a limited time to do your activities, and you might run across a time where the aliens invade and you have to go into combat, and then you build your base and all this kind of stuff. It kind of reminds me of that, if you're saying that aliens are only hunting for 24 hours every month, so you're like, for one day you have to hide or attack or fight the aliens when they come on the day that they come, and then you're talking about the rest of the month. It could be some kind of like a base building or survival prepping type of situation. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. It sounds like it's a game that that's the Fortnite game. Yeah, I thought Fortnite originally was something like that, but I don't even know if they have that anymore. I think, is it only Battle Royale? I don't know. I don't play Fortnite or any of that stuff, so I'm not totally sure on that. But no, the only thing about that game idea, it sounds like a pretty complicated project. Like, if you were going to have a really big 3D game with aliens and time management and a bunch of different months and a campaign and all that kind of stuff, that's going to take some serious resources to pull off, for sure. And let's do ahead and yeah, so I'm going to get ready to end the stream in just a sec. I'm just going to randomly work on this while we're finishing up. I'm going to edit this. Yeah, let's go with 140. Something like that. This is what I was wanting to do. It's almost too easy to see the line here. These tile perfectly, but it's like you can see that line a little bit. I wonder how that looks on the actual title screen. Yeah, I think that looks alright still. This broken hourglass is just a placeholder. This was a poster. We actually had this. We still do have this T-shirt, I think. Let me see. T-shirt. What was our store called? TeePublic. See if I can log into this. I actually don't know what my email for our old store was. Oh, here we go. My storefront. Yeah, we actually had this on a T-shirt, the Night Detective glass, and when I was trying to go back and find, like, we gotta disable this sticker. This looks absolutely terrible. If it highlights it all in black. We sold one of these T-shirts Woo! Somebody out there in the world has a Night Detective t-shirt. But I had to pull that image off of the website in order just to have a placeholder here, working on the title screen. In the game, you only play one day, and if you fail, then the game's over and maybe a different ending. Also wanted to just say you're a huge inspiration to me, as I want to make a studio like you. Count me in for future streams. Nice, man. That's awesome. I appreciate that. That's real encouraging to me. For sure, I'm going to be doing more streams, and I'm going to be doing more videos on setting up a game studio and all that kind of stuff, especially as I build my new office and all of that. I'll probably do desk setups, videos, computer setups to show like what I've got going on now. My most popular YouTube video here, let's do this. Let me pull up my channel. Yeah, I'll show this live here, I guess. Here's my channel. Oh, look at that. You can see my subscriptions. Thomas Brush, the GOAT. If you look at my most popular videos, right here, 13,000 views now. Pretty serious on the $0 game studio, and how much money I made is pretty popular, more than 10,000 views. This is like my playlist here of like, setting up optimization in your game, how to choose your scope in your game, talk about quitting jobs, how to set up your game studio, how much money I made. Here's how to break down your different sources of income, all that kind of stuff. I think this one's still good. This one's probably too old at this point to matter. And this is just some information. But these kind of stuff is like, showing me that people are really interested in starting their own game studios, and learning how to work full time and all that kind of stuff. And then also like, if you look at my popular uploads, another one that's blown up recently is this tutorial, 7,500 views now, on teaching Unity. So I'm gonna do some more Unity tutorials, because that's what people are interested in. That's what they're after. That's what they're wanting to see. And plus, it's a huge desire of my heart as well to help other people, help them go after their dreams. And if you want to do something like this and, make video games for a living and do it full time, it's a whole lot of work, and it takes a whole lot of courage to do those risks. And it's not easy or always as fun as everyone thinks it is. But if it's something that you're interested in doing, I can definitely give my advice and opinions on the stuff I've seen so far working with Nintendo and PlayStation and Steam, and how to build a brand. Like, my brand building is just getting off the ground. Like, I ignored that for the longest time, and now I'm working on redoing my logos and going into higher production quality and running my social media a little bit better. I've ignored it for like the last 4 or 5 months or whatever, because I've been just planning a wedding and also working another job. But that's all done with, so I'm gonna be really hitting it hard soon and doing some videos on it. I finally broke 1,000 subscribers, so we're moving up into the YouTube world, I guess. That's kind of nice. So I'm probably gonna nail the YouTube channel over and over and over until I get enough watch time to actually put commercials on here. Because the crazy thing is like, I'm still under my watch time to actually monetize, but they run ads all day long on all these videos that have like thousands of views, so they're straight making money off of me, but I don't get to keep any of it. So I'm like, oh. And my account was monetized back in the day before they changed the rules, and I actually had like $60 worth of income from like the Letter soundtrack alone or something like that. Like, these 2 videos, like back in the day, had that much ad rev on them, and I never got to take it out because you had to wait till you got $100 in there before you could take it out. So it stayed in YouTube's account and Google's bank for like 5 years, and I think I lost it recently. I think they just shut down my account. So I'm like, I'm almost to the point where I could get back in and see if I still have my $60. I'm like, bro, that's like a month of software subscriptions right there that I need to do video game development. So, some more comments. Are you a solo dev, Eli, like full time? Yeah, I am now. But some of the year I do work part time. I don't always do it, but I kind of have a recurring job that I can go back to and work a few months of the year during tax season in accounting, because I have some business background and a relationship with a firm. So every once in a while, I do stop working full time in game development, and will maybe usually work full time for 8 months out of the year, and then part time for a few months out of the year. But I think after getting married and going this year, I'm going to be working, like all the time, full time on game development. And I am solo for the most part. Like I am the only full-time employee of TreeFall Studios, but I do have people who do work with me on contract type basis. They will work for me every once in a while. I have people who have worked on games and they get royalties from the games as well. So they're not on a full-time basis. I am trying to get to the point where I can actually boost up, and I'm really hoping that this year we can make enough money to where I can pay someone part-time and get someone coming in more often or not. I would like to actually get an office this year, and then do some stuff like that with some employees. But right now it's just me. You said, I found you from the $0 game video studio vid. Could you do a Q&A stream too? That's crazy. I just got lucky with that one. I made that video when I first, like maybe a year after I went full time, when I quit my job originally, and I did a whole year of full-time game development. I was making more YouTube videos, and I made that $0 game studio video. It's almost 2 years old at this point, I think, and it got like a couple hundred views in like the first year, and then nobody saw it, and I was just continuing to make random videos. And then randomly, like a whole year later, like all of a sudden it got picked up in the YouTube search algorithm, and I started pulling in like 50 views a day, 40 views, 30 views, different stuff like that. And then now it's been in the YouTube search since then, and they kind of been suggesting it to people. And like I said, now to me it's big numbers. 13,000 people watched that video, but that's small compared to some of these other game developers and other YouTubers and stuff. But my videos are not that professional yet. They're pretty small time, and I edit them myself, and my editing isn't the best or anything like that. So I definitely want to make it a whole lot better for people, so that I can present my knowledge and videos a little bit more professionally for people. But yeah, I could definitely do a Q&A stream. I mean, I pretty much do that now. I'm sitting, I was going to be working on some of the projects, but then I spent the last little bit answering questions instead of actually doing any substantial work on this game or anything like that. Yeah, I could do a actual Q&A stream where it was all, the whole point of it was questions and answers about game development. Answer as much as I could about starting your studio, and how to work with people online, and how to get paid, and how to work with Sony and Microsoft. I'm definitely gonna be doing a lot of new videos soon, because I'm really figuring out step by step how to work with Microsoft right now. And I will tell you, it is very difficult. It is much more difficult than Sony's process of getting set up was. I've heard some people think it's easier. Some people think, like me, it's more difficult. I think it's a whole lot more confusing. But I think I'm going to be in a really good position as soon as I get familiar with it and I get games coming out on Microsoft and I'm launching on Xbox and PlayStation 5 at the same time. I'm getting ready to get my Xbox 5 dev kit. I still don't have one yet. They're super expensive. It's a huge business expense. But as soon as I get that and I have the ability to publish on Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Steam, I'm going to be able to do a whole lot more for publishing clients and really helping people out who are in the beginner stages of game development and all that kind of stuff. Still working on Nintendo. I honestly think like that they'll accept my pitch, because I pitched Microsoft Tilting Tiles and they accepted it, and they did not accept my other pitches. Like Microsoft turned down the Perplexing Orb 2, which, looking at the sales and like on PlayStation and stuff, like they made a big mistake on that. The Perplexing Orb series has made me more money than all of my other games combined. Basically, it's like number one. So, that being said, you're gonna get a Perplexing Orb 3 eventually. But I don't know if it'll make it out this year. I think I'm gonna do Tilting Tiles 2 first. I think that might be my big game outside of working on the letter and stuff. But so they said no to some of my other games that I thought were polished, and they really like Tilting Tiles. My reviews on Tilting Tiles are really strong. I got a 9 from some people. The lowest I got was a few different 7s. I got an 8 by another website. So higher than most of my reviews, because most of my reviews for my games are landing at like the 6 range, like 6, 7. Some of my other older games, like I think maybe 8 was the highest score Perplexing Orb 2 got, but they're usually between 6 and 7.5, which to me is still, that means people like the game and there's something, it was worth my time to work on it and make it and do all that kind of stuff. But the fact that I got high review praise on Tilting Tiles, high sales, unique concept, all that kind of stuff, the whole package, Microsoft was all for it, and I really think that Nintendo will be all for it too. So if I can bust into the Switch development and really hit all the platforms hard before the end of their life cycle for Switch, I don't know how much longer of a life cycle it'll have, that'll be a huge benefit for me. I think that'll be a game changer, really. Let's see, Porch Game Over for you. Another thing is, I can talk about this while you can look at these levels before I cut the stream off, because I think I'm gonna end the stream in just a few minutes, cut it off by 6. I don't know what time I actually started. Let me see if I'm not even checking this out. Started at 4:40, ending at 6. That's an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think technically, like, my goal for future streams is going to be between an hour and an hour and a half. I've seen some good data on streams lasting that long, so maybe I will do them per day. I don't know, but what do you guys think about nighttime streams? Because I thought about, especially for Night Detective, I had the idea of like only working at and only marketing this game at night and only working on it at night to like go for the brand. And I made my first tweet, like this cool little video I edited of like thunder happening and like the broken magnifying glass just showing up. Just for half a second when the thunder claps, and nobody saw it at night. Like no one saw it until I retweeted it the next day. So like I guess my visibility is really bad at nighttime. Like no one's up. But I thought about doing maybe midnight streams, like midnight to 1 a.m. Be like, late night dev with me, put on some beats and we just hang out and all that kind of stuff. So maybe I'll do that. Let's see what these other comments. Around 3 years, probably. Switch is already outdated hardware after all. Yeah, I agree. Like, I was kind of worried that the Switch is going to be ending. Because if you think about it, it's crazy. The Switch came out in March of 2017. So that's really like, we're 5 years old now with that console, and they still haven't let me develop for it, which is just crazy. They were really every pitch I sent them, they were really on the verge of saying no. And I'm like, dude, I'm like over here, like actively, I'm actively going after and like applying for Switch development, all that stuff. And I sit there and I've got like games on Wii U still selling. Like I have games that will still sell every single month. Like I have a proven concept, a prior relationship, games that are still on Nintendo's system, and I'm showing games that look a million times better, way better than those games on Wii U now, that are selling really good on PlayStation, and then Nintendo still turns down my pitches. So it makes me think like, I don't know what you're supposed to think. I think like, man, the letter must have really burned them. Like they were afraid of that, that bad press or whatever, and maybe they don't want me on their system. I don't know. I just really think that they don't know what's going on at Nintendo of America. They greenlight the worst games over there, and the shop is full of like really not very well looking games, a lot of asset flips and incomplete project type of deals. And I'm working hard on trying to get games on there, and they're like, nah son, you can't, not today. So Nintendo is got some interesting stuff going on this generation, but the Switch is so old, I don't think it's going to last. I mean, like the sales are going to last. Like so many people have bought it that, I don't know. Like maybe they'll just keep selling it, and maybe I'll have a chance to work on it before it's too late. But I'm afraid that I won't have a chance to actually work on the system before it's too late, because even though I kind of make fun of them for like their decisions, and I don't know what they're really working on over there at Nintendo of America, I'm like, they make really odd choices. I still like Nintendo, and I still like the games that come out on the Switch, and I think the hardware itself is unique, and I would like to release games on there. So I don't have any hate for them or anything like that, but it's taken a while to get there. What's another? Wouldn't you like to land your trusted ideas to publishers, like instead of hoping Nintendo will let you publish for it? I mean, Tilting Tiles is good after all. Most publisher, yeah. So I actually have a buddy who offered to publish the Perplexing Orb 2 on Switch for me, and like it's a route that I can take, and I think we might still work together to do that. But I've really been trying to build this studio up as a nice, more polished, more experienced game development studio that's publishing multi-platform games, and also publishing games for other people. Like my practice of publishing Meme Run, I would like to publish games for other people as well. And I'm not. If worst comes to worst, like I will work with somebody else to get some games on Switch. But at this point, like from the data I've heard, like games aren't selling on Switch as well as they used to. It's just like all the other platforms. So I don't know if it's worth all the time and effort it is to downgrade the projects to get them running, and also taking a huge pay cut by paying a publisher when I've already got all these projects that I can continue to publish on Xbox and PlayStation, Steam. Like I'm not sure it makes financial sense for me. Like I would probably almost lose money for my time working on trying to get a publisher to do it. Because it's one thing, like if you're like, let's say you come out with your game and you don't have any of these relationships yet, you can't publish with PlayStation and Xbox. It makes sense for someone to go to a publisher and give them their game, and then that publisher takes, let's say, 30 to 50% of your game sales, and then but they publish it on PlayStation for you, Xbox for you, Steam for you, and Switch for you, and you couldn't do that on your own. Well then, yeah, it makes sense for you to do that, even though they take a big chunk of your royalties, because they're doing a lot of work for you, and that's what I would be doing. I would be doing the work, getting it on these platforms for you, helping you get it out on platforms like that. So it makes sense. Like it has to be worth my time and investment. So it makes sense why publishers take such a big chunk. But for me, it doesn't make sense for me to. Thanks. um, Dad featured in the stream. It doesn't make sense for me to do that because, at that point, like, I would lose the money, and because like I could be taking my own time, and I would be doing I would be making more money off of my own time getting games on the Xbox and the PlayStation than I would be losing the time when I would be, on the Switch, because like they would be taking too much of the cut for that. So, yeah. But so that's my answer for that one. I know that was a little bit of a long-winded one. I just don't think like at this point it makes a whole lot of sense for me. And so that's where that is. All right, it's 5:59 my local time, so I'm gonna get ready to finish this stream up for the evening, and then I'm going to be showing you this last room. There's this one thing that I'm going to be changing in Night Detective. The crazy thing is so I'm going to, like, I'll show you this real quick. So this is like one thing that I've been like debating taking this out. So like the theme of the foyer level is gonna be these photo frames are the right choices. Like, so if you choose this, you're in the wrong area, and if you choose the photo frame, you're doing the correct items. So this is actually right here. This is a fan service for Limbo. And I don't know if you look at that, you can tell that that's from the game Limbo, like the character. Like, let me know what you guys think about that. There's like my artist who originally drew this game, like threw in these indie references from games that he loved. And I'm kind of like on the fence about it. Like, it almost feels like you could get in trouble at this point for having stuff in the game. Like, first off, this isn't like they're like fan recreations, and they're not too close to what the actual stuff looks like. But at a certain point, like, what if we sold a lot of copies of Night Detective because the game is so cheap? The problem with that would be, what if one of these companies doesn't like the fan service that we have, like that their game art was shown off in a picture in our game, for instance? So I'm not so comfortable about publishing that, and I think that I'm going to be redrawing like this picture frame. And then also, I think the one that I'm going to keep, because his art was really good for the foyer, the last one I'll show you, or the hallway level. Like, this is another indie game. I don't think so. That might be a reference to Limbo, but it is just a shadow. Yeah, that's what the main character looks like. You can kind of see his hair. But like you said, it is just a shadow. I'm like 50-50 on it. I'm not really sure. What about this one? What do you guys think about this? Can you even tell what this reference is for? In this hallway level, the stairways, there's this tapestry in the middle of the hallway, and this is actually a reference to the original Chivalry game, which was a huge indie game. But I don't know, like this one, it doesn't look like, it kind of looks like the poster of their game, but I'm not totally sure about it per se. This kind of just looks like art to me. Like, I don't think like, this is like some pixel art, loosely based on, a representation of games that we were fans of. So I think I'm going to leave this one in there, but I might change the shadow for Limbo. Like, I'm not totally sure. I don't know. I can't decide. I can't decide if it's a good idea or a bad idea to take them out. So those are some sneak previews at some of the levels. This level is really cool. Some of the art in this is like really impressive. The little details for this, for him to have drawn all this with the tools that you get in Microsoft Paint, is pretty much unbelievable. He was really, really talented. Here's a look at the kitchen level. You can see there's 2 doors in the kitchen. There's 2 doors in the hallway. I'll just show you. Here's a look at the bedroom level. This one was really good. So this art here, the outside is one of my favorites. The fog moving in the rain. I'll just go ahead and show that as I end the stream here. But yep, so just to recap, thanks for tuning in to the stream. Thanks for everybody's questions. I really appreciate it. That was a whole lot of fun. I have got to work harder on making these streams a little bit better, more professional. I'm be moving in a month. Be getting married. Me and my wife are getting a new place, and my future wife, not married yet, just my fiance. And I will be building a new TreeFall Studios office, so you're going to see a whole new set for the TreeFall stream, so that's going to be pretty cool. I think I'm going to start doing some streams more often here and there until the wedding, and show off some of the development for these games. But then I'm going to, once I've built the new office completely, probably stream on a more regular basis in the new setup. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. Let me know in the comments what you think about the games I showed off earlier in the stream. We've got, the Tilting Tiles 2 art here. We've got the Pitter Pot. It's not really Pitter Pot 2. It's going to be a spin-off Pitter Pot game art. So would you guys rather see Tilting Tiles being worked on live or Pitter Pot being worked on live? Which one would you rather keep for surprises? Let me know what you think in the comments below. But thanks for all the questions. That was a really great stream. I'm really glad I got to answer some of those questions and that you guys were actually interested in some of that stuff. That was really, really cool. So thanks again for all the questions. And I will be doing some more Q&A streams just like requested. So, but without further ado, I will catch you guys in the next video. I really appreciate it. I'm going to be signing off here. That's the old TreeFall Studios logo. I've got to get new ones set up in my streaming stuff. But yep, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.